Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today we'll start with surah number 6 in the Quran, Al-An'am. The meaning in English is the cattle. This surah, except for probably 2 or 3 verses, have been revealed in Mecca and precisely at the end of the Meccan period. It is probably the last year in Mecca before the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Medina. The surah in general is addressing 3 main topics. Number 1, to emphasize again, like all the Meccan Quran, the oneness and uniqueness of God. Number 2, to denounce certain practices of the pagan tribes at this time, vis-a-vis the meat and the way they deal with it, dedicating it to idols, etc. And the Quran is coming to end that. Number 3 is the precise message of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We'll take samples from the surah. It starts Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi alladhi khalaqa as-samawati wal-arda wa ja'ala adh-dhulumati wan-nur thumma alladhina kafaru bi rabbihim ya'dilun. It is all the praise is due to Allah, the one who created heavens and earth and who brought to being darkness and light. And we notice the difference between khalaqa and ja'ala. Khalaqa, he created. The product of this creation, the way things were created, is that light and the darkness happened because of the rotation, for example, of the earth across the sun. The other thing that we should notice here, that when the Quran talks about al-dhulumat and an-nur, darkness and the light, in other areas of the Quran, it does not only mean the physical sense. There is the spiritual darkness and the spiritual light. There is the intellectual darkness and the intellectual light. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He brought to being these facts and these realities. When we go now to verse number 6, أَلَمْ يَرَوْا كَمْ أَهْلَكْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ مِنْ قَرْنٍ مَكَّنَّاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَا لَمْ نُمَكِّنْ لَكُمْ وَأَرْسَلْنَا السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْهِمْ مِدْرَارًا وجعلنا الأنهار تجري من تحتهم فأهلكناهم بذنوبهم وأنشأنا من بعدهم قرنا آخرين. The paraphrasing the meaning of the verse. Haven't you known about? Yaraw, by the way, is not seen. It is seeing by the mind also. Aren't you aware of those who came before you? So many people, so many civilizations were established on the land, much more than what you are. Because the Arabs at that time were nomads. They were not really holding roots to the land. But here the Quran is talking about groups of people who were established and they became a settling agricultural civilization. This is why the Quran says, وَأَرْسَلْنَا السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْهِمْ مِدْرَارًا. There was rain, there were rivers, which means that there was an agricultural society which was the rich society at that time. But people, when they are in abundance and when they are established, they have this tendency to go astray, and then they will deserve the punishment. The other thing that we should notice in this verse is the invitation to look into history and to study archaeology, because Quran is challenging us to go and study the situation of those who came before us and to see the development and the evolution of civilizations, and we try to discover the law that controls the rise and fall of different civilizations. Verse number 12, قُلْ لِمَنْ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ قُلْ لِلَّهِ كَتَبَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الرَّحْمَةِ لَيَجْمَعَنَّكُمْ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Here the Quran is talking about a very special attribute of Allah. It is the only attribute that was introduced this way, كَتَبَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الرَّحْمَةِ. This will be repeated in the same surah for emphasis. But we don't find any other attribute of Allah. He didn't say كَتَبَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الجبروت or كتب على نفسه القوة, the might or the power, but كتب على نفسه الرحمة. And when we look at the expression itself, كتب على نفسه, how reassuring to us that this is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained on Himself. It cannot be broken. The mercy of Allah cannot be broken and cannot be cut. It is overflowing because this is part of the decision that He made. He is reminding us, لَيَجْمَعَنَّكُمْ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. Surely this rahmah should not be misused with the logic of God loves you, you are forgiven, do everything you want. No, be aware that you will be gathered for the day of judgment without any doubt. لا ريب فيه, remember, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, no doubt. And the Quran saying in a subtle expression, الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُم. When you go astray and when we become devious, we are losing ourselves. We deserve better than الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُم فَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Then when we go to verses 17 and 18, Quran here is talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but talking to all of us in the person of the Prophet. It's like you talk to the leader, so you are talking to the troops. وَإِن يَمْسَسْكَ اللَّهُ بِضُرٍّ فَلَا كَاشِفَ لَهُ إِلَّا هُوَ وَإِن يَمْسَسْكَ بِخَيْرٍ فَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ وَهُوَ الْحَكِيمُ الْخَبِيرُ. Telling Muhammad at this time of difficulty, and telling the believers who were tortured, oppressed and persecuted at that time, that remember to go back to Allah. If something difficult is inflicting you, no one can help you at that situation but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَلَا كَاشِفَ لَهُ إِلَّا هُ. No one can make it go away but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِن يَمْسَسْكَ بِخَيْرٍ. If He gives you something good, فَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Nobody can take it away from you. In other words, saying, just hold tightly to the belief in Allah. Put all your trust in Him and don't worry about what's happening, whether it is difficulty or whether it is prosperity, whether it is good or whether it is bad. وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ. Remember that He is in command, taking His way over everything that He created. He is the wise and He is the deeply knowledgeable about everything. There is an expression here that's also intriguing. This is in verse number 34, which say, انظر كيف كذبوا على أنفسهم وضل عنهم ما كانوا يفترون. This is one of the miraculous expressions of the Quran. It summarizes a chapter. When you deny the truth, when you cover the truth, which is the meaning of kufr, when you prevent yourself from seeing yourself and seeing reality, you are lying to yourself. In other words, if you leave yourself to its nature, you will find Allah and you will find the truth. Verse number 33 comes under this category of talking to the Prophet and about the Prophet and empowering him in a certain way. قد نعلم إنه لا يحزنك الذي يقولون فإنهم لا يكذبونك ولكن الظالمين بآيات الله يجحدون ولقد كذبت رسل من قبلك فصبروا على ما كذبوا وأوذوا حتى أتاهم نصرنا ولا مبدل لكلمات الله ولقد جاءك من نبأ المرسلين. Those two verses, number 33 and 34, are talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah telling him that I know that you are saddened, you grieve, because they are giving the lie to you. They are denying you. And in a sense, telling Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't take it personal. They are not denying you as Muhammad. They are denying the signs of Allah. The problem is not you. The problem is them who are denying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Them putting the Prophet in the right perspective. وَلَقَدْ كُذِّبَتْ رُسُلٌ مِّن قَبْلِكَ فَصَبَرُوا عَلَى مَا كُذِّبُوا وَأُوذُوا. Messengers before you have been also given the lie. Not only that, but they were hurt and they were perseverant until the victory from Allah comes. وَلَا مُبَدِّلَ لِكَلِمَاتِ اللَّهِ. There is no change of the orders of Allah. In other words, this is a system. It is natural. It will always happen. When someone comes with the truth, people who deny the truth will deny him and will persecute him. You should expect that because the system of Allah will not change. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَكَ مِن نَبَإِ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And we have told you already about previous messengers. So while this verse is very compassionate, as reassuring the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and telling him that you are okay, they are just denying Allah, but at the same time say, expect even worse, because messengers prior to you were denied and they were also persecuted and hurt. But the victory from Allah will come soon. Then the next verse, number 35. وَإِن كَانَ كَبُرَ عَلَيْكَ إِعْرَاضُهُمْ فَإِنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ أَن تَبْتَغِيَ نَفَقًا فِي الْأَرْضِ أَوْ سُلَّمًا فِي السَّمَاءِ فَتَأْتِيَهُمْ بِآيَةٍ وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَمَعَهُمْ عَلَى الْهُدَى فَلَا تَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. The Quran here is telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a harsh and stern language that if you can't take, if you are too distressed to accept that they are turning away from you, so go ahead on your own. If you dig a tunnel in the earth, or if you extend a ladder to the sky to bring them a sign, go ahead and do it. Of course, this is a rhetorical question because he won't be able to do that. And reminding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَمَعَهُمْ عَلَى الْهُدَى. Have it been the will of Allah, there would have been no testing. He could have gathered all people to guidance. فَلَا تَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. So don't be unaware of or ignorant about this reality, that there is a system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided and things are going to go through that. We go now to verse number 50, and it is telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam what kind of talk he should say to the unbelievers. قُلْ لَا أَقُولُ لَكُمْ عِنْدِي خَزَائِنُ اللَّهِ وَلَا أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبِ وَلَا أَقُولُ لَكُمْ إِنِّي مَلَكٌ إِنْ أَتَّبِعُ إِلَّا مَا يُوحَى إِلَيَّ قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الْأَعْمَى وَالْبَصِيرُ أَفَلَا تَتَفَكَّرُونَ. The order to the Prophet, go and tell them, proclaim to them, I don't say unto you that I own what I don't own, that God's treasures are with me. No. Nor do I say I know the things that are beyond the reach of human perception. I can't tell what is not here. Nor do I say, behold, I am an angel, because I am not, but I follow what is revealed to me. This is the very clean identification of the message, the messenger and his message. This verse should have far-reaching consequences, because all these stories about the Prophet telling about things that are going to come and things that are going to happen, and the fire will be coming from the east and things coming from the west, telling about the future that he says here, لا أعلم الغيب. All the things that gives to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam attributes that he never used to prove any point about him being beyond a human being. All things that claims anything for the Prophet that he never really claimed should not be circulating in our literature and in our understanding. Then the Quran says, قُلْ, again tell them, هل يستوي الأعمى والبصير أفلا تتفكرون. Would the one with insight be equal to the one who is blind? Would the blind be equal to the one with vision and insight? Of course, here it is, we are not talking about blindness of the eye, this eye. We are not talking about cataract or retinal detachment. We are talking about the blindness of the soul, because it immediately came, أَفَلَا تَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Can't you use your brain? Can't you think? If you think, you can see through. Then verse number 51, وَلَا تَطْرُدِ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ ما عليك من حسابهم من شيء وما من حسابك عليهم من شيء فتطردهم فتكون من الظالمين. Again, we find the Quran here is identifying the precise job of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Don't deter, don't push away those who are seeking to please their Creator, their Lord, day and night, seeking to please Him, seeking the direction that they should take to be right and to be truthful. ما عليك من حسابهم من شيء. You are not accountable for the way they will be judged. They will not be accountable for the way you will be judged. If you do that, فتطردهم, if you still push them away, فتكون من الظالمين. If you do that, you will be one of the wrongdoers. Very strong language talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if anyone would like to say that this Quran was written by Muhammad, he should be out of his mind, because definitely who could have edited these parts that are talking that harshly really to him. Then verse number 54, وَإِذَا جَاءَكَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِآيَاتِنَا. When people who believe come to you, rich or poor, you greet them, فَقُلْ سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ. Peace be upon you. And it is not only the peace of the greeting, but in reality, the peace of the heart and the peace of the mind will be upon you. Then the repetition of the same verse, كَتَبَ رَبُّكُمْ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الرَّحْمَةِ. Your Lord have ordained upon Himself, have willed upon Himself mercy. Then one of the manifestations of mercy, أَنَّهُ مَنْ عَمِلَ مِنْكُمْ سُوءًا بِجَهَالَةٍ ثُمَّ تَابَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ وَأَصْلَحَ فَأَنَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. The manifestation of this mercy is whoever errs because he or she didn't know, and after that they change course. Repentance is change of course. turn things around, وأصلح, mended the wrong that they have done, فأنه غفور رحيم, Allah will forgive and is merciful. Verse number 59 and 60 and 61, again in the same direction, delineating the power of Allah and His knowledge vis-a-vis what people can claim for Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam or for anybody else. وعنده مفاتح الغيب لا يعلمها إلا هو ويعلم ما في البر والبحر وما تسقط من ورقة إلا يعلمها ولا حبة في ظلمات الأرض ولا رطب ولا يابس إلا في كتاب مبين. With him are the keys. The keys. It is a deliberate expression of what is beyond the perception. It is the unlimited knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He is trying to give us a glimpse. Only Him. He will know what is everything on earth, what's everything in seas and oceans, whatever leaf that falls. And now scientifically they know that there are different ways of falling leaves. One of them is certain chemicals react in a certain way when the leaf gets old. One of them is if the leaf is exposed to trauma and so on. So it is an intricate process, not taken for granted as we see. He knows what is deep in the earth, any seed deep in the earth, because it is a life process. The seed in the earth is a miracle on its own. It is carrying the future of a tree and fruits and ever-ending cycle. ولا رطب ولا يابس, anything that's green or dry, إلا في كتاب مبين, it is recorded in a way that is deciphered and clear. Something which is really mind-boggling, because now we know that there is a biological balance and there is a physical balance, that really everything is counted for. وهو الذي يتوفاكم بالليل. He takes you when you sleep at night. And this was elaborated upon in another area of the Quran, that sleeping is a demonstration of death actually, and waking up is a demonstration of resurrection. وَيَعْلَمُ مَا جَرَحْتُمْ بِالنَّهَارِ. He knows what you do during the day. ثُمَّ يَبْعَثُكُمْ فِيهِ لِيُقْضَى أَجَلٌ مُسَمَّى. When you wake up in the day, it is like it is resurrection in that day. لِيُقْضَى أَجَلٌ مُسَمَّى, because you are still given time. أَجَلٌ مُسَمَّى means decided, measured, known to Allah time. So the succession of the day and night are bringing us closer to the end of that period. ثُمَّ إِلَيْهِ مَرْجِعُكُمْ. At the end, the returning is back to Him. ثُمَّ يُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. And when you return, you will be told what you have been doing. In other words, there is a strict accountability. Everything will be known, everything will be exposed. And it comes after knowing every seed, after knowing every leaf, after knowing everything hidden, everything concealed. It comes very impressive here that when we return back, everything that we have done also. وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ. And He alone holds sway over His servant. And He sends for us حفظة, factors or angels or decisions or powers to protect us, to keep us alive. حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. And here is the expression, the maut comes, the death comes. Death is a reality as if it walks on two legs. Death is not the absence of life. حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ تَوَفَّتْهُ رُسُلُنَا. Our messengers, who are the angels, will take him back. وَهُمْ لَا يُفَرِّطُونَ. And they don't overlook anything. And the same meaning that has been said in the previous verse is repeated. ثُمَّ رُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ أَلَا لَهُ الْحُكْمُ وَهُوَ أَسْرَعُ الْحَاسِبِينَ. They will go back to their Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the only true Lord. أَلَا لَهُ الْحُكْمُ. Definitely the judgment is for Him, and His accountability is swift. وَهُوَ أَسْرَعُ الْحَاسِبِينَ. Verse number 68. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ الَّذِينَ يَخُوضُونَ فِي آيَاتِنَا فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ وَإِمَّا يُنْسِيَنَّكَ الشَّيْطَانُ فَلَا تَقْعُدْ بَعْدَ الذِّكْرَى مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. It is deciding the behavior of the Muslim. Whenever you meet such as those who indulge in blasphemous talk about our message, turn your back away from them until they begin to talk of other things. In other words, it is making us assertive and decisive, and we do not compromise our principles, and we don't allow blasphemy in our presence. We don't participate in it. We separate ourselves from that. But we don't sever our relations with people completely to the point of no return. When they change the subject, we can then join to do our mission, because our mission is with people. And if every time someone talks nonsense, we sever our relation with them, how would the religion spread? وَإِمَّا يُنْسِيَنَّكَ الشَّيْطَانِ. If the evil one, or if Satan makes you forget that, فَلَا تَقْعُدْ بَعْدَ الذِّكْرَى. When you remember, the moment you remember, مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. Don't associate yourself with the wrongdoers. Verses 75 through 80. They are talking about part of the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, Abraham. And we will not go into the details of the story of Abraham. It is mentioned in the Quran in several locations. But there is that part which is very important to us because it decides a style. وكذلك نري إبراهيم ملكوت السماوات والأرض وليكون من الموقنين. In other words, there is a process where Ibrahim will look into things around him, in the malakut, in the dominion of Allah, in heavens and in earth, and the purpose of that, وَلِيَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُقِنِينَ. At the end, he will reach a certain level of certainty. And tells us about the intellectual journey, intellectual spiritual journey of Ibrahim. When the night came, he looks and finds a star, he says, هذا ربي, this must be my Lord. And of course at that time it was very common to worship stars. But he finds that the star goes away. He says, I don't like things that go away. Then he looks at the moon and he says, فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغًا. It's beautiful, coming out, making it, manifesting itself clear. He says, this is my Lord, but also it goes away. Then he said, لَإِن لَمْ يَهْدِنِي رَبِّي لَأَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الضَّالِّينَ. He is now invoking a higher power for guidance. I want Allah to guide me, otherwise I will be one who is going astray. Then guess what? He sees the sun and he says, هذا ربي هذا أكبر. It is bigger than everything else. It is more majestic than everything else. But sunset comes. فلما أفلت قال يا قوم إني بريء مما تشركون. Here comes the point of separation. I wash my hands off what you associate with God, because there must be a power higher and beyond that's organizing and managing all these things. إني وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض. I direct my face to the one who created and made heavens and earth. حنيفا, I am turning away from you. وما أنا من المشركين, and I will never be one of those who associate deities with God. وحاجه قومه قال أتحاجوني في الله وقد هدان ولا أخاف ما تشركون به إلا أن يشاء ربي شيئا وسع ربي كل شيء علما أفلا تتذكرون. Here is the spiritual vision and the spiritual maturity. When he reached that level, his people will argue with him. And the arguments in the story of Ibrahim in particular are very interesting. It seems that he was really a good debater. He can debate. Obviously, the process of debating started at that time. But we can see that as if he have seen the truth in its fullness. The exploration stopped here, and this is the time for the soul and the spirit to see. Because he became also very brave. وَلَا أَخَافُ مَا تُشْرِكُونَ بِهِ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ رَبِّي شَيْئًا. I'm not concerned, I'm not afraid of what you associate with Allah. Everything will be in His command. وَسِعَ رَبِّي كُلَّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا. My Lord knows everything. أَفَلَا تَتَذَكَّرُونَ. He is taking now a stand, not only separation, but as a matter of fact, challenging of the establishment. Verse number 90, after it talked about different prophets, Isaiah and Jacob and Yunus and others, the Quran here tells Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أولئك الذين هدى الله فبهداه مقتده قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إن هو إلا ذكرى للعالمين. The Quran is telling Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you follow the footsteps of these messengers, because Allah guided them, made them models, and you, Muhammad, learn from them. So the arrogance that we see in some Muslims, unfortunately, is contrary to the spirit of the Quran, that is talking to the best man ever, the last of the messengers, telling him those who came before you are good models for you. You study them, you know about them, وبهداه مقتده. Follow their guidance. Use this guidance to guide you also. And tell your people, like all those people, those prophets did, قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا. I am not asking for any reward. And this has been the modus operandi with all the messengers of Allah. If you look in their stories of the Quran, you will always find قل لا أسألكم عليه من أجر إن أجري إلا على الله. And this is repeated, and Muhammad also the same like them. قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا. For myself, I don't want anything personal for me. I don't want any personal gains. إن هو إلا ذكرى. This is just a reminding, a message to whom? للعالمين. Here is the universality of the Islam. Not that I am sent to the sheep of Israel that went devious, or I am sent to a certain location. Here it is a message for all the worlds. Verse number 95 through 100. إن الله فالق الحب والنوى يخرج الحي من الميت ومخرج الميت من الحي ذلكم الله فأنى تؤفكون. فالق الإصباح وجعل الليل سكنا والشمس والقمر حسبانا ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم. وهو الذي جعل لكم النجوم لتهتدوا بها في ظلمات البر والبحر قد فصلنا الآيات لقوم يعلمون. وهو الذي أنشأكم من نفس واحدة فمستقر ومستودع قد فصلنا الآيات لقوم يفقهون. إن الله فالق الحب والنوى, the one who cleaves the grain and the fruit kernel asunder. So he brings out life from what is dead. Here we see that seed is the globe of life. Life in all its majesty and miraculous complexity is reduced and summarized and contained in this seed. And in that process, every living thing will come out. Every living thing eventually, as we know, will die and decompose. So living thing will come from dead material, and dead material will eventually come from living thing. يخرج الحي من الميت ومخرج الميت من الحي. From this world of the seed to the world of the cosmos. فالق الإصباح, the one who breaks the darkness with the light of the dawn. It is almost like the same process. Darkness is split asunder by the morning. Talking about a cosmic phenomena. وَجَعَلَ اللَّيْلَ سَكَنًا. This is reflected on us through our biological clock. The night is the place and the time for stillness and the quietness. وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ حُسْبَانًا. Sun and the moon are running their appointed course. There is an appointed, never missing course by the will of the Almighty, all-knowing and all-merciful. From the cleaving seed in the soil to the expanding, vibrant universe, all by the will of God and under His care. Then we go to life on this earth. وهو الذي جعل لكم النجوم لتهتدوا بها في ظلمات البر والبحر. Life on this planet as we live it, relating it to the cosmic phenomena. The stars in their arrangement, remote as they are, but they are used to guide us in journeys and in navigation. All this, قد فصلنا الآيات لقوم يعلمون. All these signs of Allah, all these messages are explained and are deciphered and shown to people who have the innate knowledge. Then, as there is a seed from which life comes, there is also a human seed. وهو الذي أنشأكم من نفس واحدة فمستقر ومستودع قد فصلنا الآيات لقوم يفقهون. He is the one who brought you to life, all from a single entity, a living entity, appointed each one of us to a time limit on earth and a resting place after death. مستقر ومستودع. Here again, يخرج الحي من الميت ومخرج الميت من الحي. The same motto, the same process is repeated at different levels. Then from earth, life will erupt in all its variety and in all its colorfulness. وهو الذي أنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به نبات كل شيء فأخرجنا منه خضرا نخرج منه حبا متراكبا ومن النخل من طلعها قنوان دانية وجنات من أعناب والزيتون والرمان مشتبها وغير متشابه انظروا إلى ثمره إذا أثمر وينعه إن في ذلكم لآيات لقوم يؤمنون وهو الذي أنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به نبات كل شيء. From the pouring rain that come down with the order of Allah will be that interaction with the soil, and every plantation will come. From these plants will be vegetations. Out of the vegetations will bring close growing grains, and out of the growing stems will come the palm trees loaded with thick clusters hanging down like chandeliers, and also will be gardens of vines, the olive tree and the pomegranate, all so alike. Of course, in basic principles, they are all plants, plant kingdom, that they share so many things, and yet so different in appearance, different in taste, different in vitamins, in juices, physiology, etc. Then the Quran here comes to an invitation to appreciate the beauty. انظروا إلى ثمره إذا أثمر وينعي. Look, feast your eye, watching its fruits when it comes to fruition and when it ripes. And in that definitely there are signs for people who will believe. Verses number 100 through 102. وجعلوا لله شركاء الجن وخلقهم وخرقوا له بنين وبنات بغير علم سبحانه وتعالى عما يصفون بديع السماوات والأرض أن يكون له ولد ولم تكن له صاحبة وخلق كل شيء وهو بكل شيء عليم ذلكم الله ربكم لا إله إلا هو خالق كل شيء فاعبدوه وهو على كل شيء وكيل. وجعلوا لله شركاء. After all these signs and miracles that are so visible, so palpable and so understandable, they still gave associates to Allah from the invisible beings. Al-Jinn here, everything that we don't see. They made them equal to Allah, attributed powers to them. They feared them. They invoked on them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them, but they in their ignorance invented false deities beside him. We notice in the Arabic language, of course, for those who are familiar, وَخَلَقَهُمْ وَخَرَقُوا لَهُ. خَلَقَ means created. خَرَقَ means in a silly, stupid way they invented something. And we call a person akhraq when he is deranged. They created in their imagination, they invented in their imagination sons and daughters out of ignorance. And the Quran says, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, more sublime and exalted is he to be compared to anything they describe him by. He is the one who initiated, who started, originated heavens and earth. How would he have a son while he didn't have a spouse? And here, of course, the idea is he is not limited to the human qualities. He is not a person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is way beyond that. Everything is created by him. To us Muslims, there is nothing but the Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everything else is created. They don't fuse together. He is not incarnate. He not part of him. He created everything else. وَخَلَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. And he is knowledgeable about the details of everything. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٍ. ذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبُّكُمْ. This is Allah, your Lord. The one who is limitless and exalted is your Lord. لا إله إلا هو. No deity but him, the creator of everything. And once this is established, فَاعْبُدُوا. Submit yourselves humbly to him. Follow the course he decided. Surrender to him. Become Muslims. وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَكِيلٍ. He is in command of everything. And as we said before, he encompasses all visions, but no vision can encompass him. He is beyond the limitation. He knows the tiniest of the tiny, and he is the unlimited in knowledge and wisdom. لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار وهو اللطيف الخبير. No human vision can encompass him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whereas he encompasses all human vision. For he is the one who knows the tiniest things, and he is the one in full knowledge to an unlimited way. This concept of deity in Islam is very important. This is why if we can encompass Allah in vision, or imagination or incarnation or what have you. This is not the concept that Muslims will subscribe to. The concept is nothing is like unto him. He is unlimited, we are limited. Verse number 122. أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كَمَنْ مَثَلُهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِنْهَا كذلك زين للكافرين ما كانوا يعملون وكذلك جعلنا في كل قرية أكابر مجرميها ليمكروا فيها وما يمكرون إلا بأنفسهم وما يشعرون. Those are two verses in succession, 122 and 120. Quran is describing the one who is void of the message, who is void of the belief, as dead. We mentioned before that life and death in the Quranic language is not a biological phenomenon. People who might be dead, like the marchers, but actually they are living. People can be living, but spiritually and intellectually they are dead. أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا, the one who is dead, فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ, when he is given the message, he became alive, because this is the real life. People who are not acquiring and attaining to faith are dead if they are walking and talking and eating and procreating. But when they are brought to life through the message, وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ, we give him a light by which that person can see his way around, particularly in dealing with people. يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ. Would this be equal to the one who will stay in the darkness? كَمَنْ مَثَلُهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ. In the ظلمات in plural here means thick darkness. ليس بخارج منها, will not be extracted away from it. كذلك زين للكافرين ما كانوا يعملون. To the ones who deny the truth, it will look good to them. Then the Quran will talk about a reality that we see in human civilization. وكذلك جعلنا في كل قرية أكابر مجرميها ليمكروا فيها وما يمكرون إلا بأنفسهم وما يشعرون. There is a system in any civilization. There will be the great ones, the big shots, the chiefs, who will do damage and will plot and will scheme, but they should understand that it will turn back against them. وما يمكرون إلا بأنفسهم وما يشعرون. Verse number 135, it ends the debate and telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam how to finish the argument with those people. قُلْ يَا قَوْمِ اعْمَلُوا عَلَى مَكَانَتِكُمْ إِنِّي عَامِلٌ. So say, O my unbelieving people, do yet all that may be within your power. Go ahead and do whatever you want to do, while surely I shall labor in God's way, and in time you will come to know to whom the future belongs. This is the style. You don't get entangled in useless arguments and disputes. After you reach a certain stage, do your work, I'll do your work, you will see who will win at the end. And this is what the Quran is telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. مَنْ تَكُونُ لَهُ عَاقِبَةُ الدَّارِ, who will control the future. Today, things might be difficult, things might look bleak, but you will see to whom the future will belong. إِنَّهُ لَا يُفْلِحُ الظَّالِمُونَ. The wrongdoers will never succeed. Verse number 141. وهو الذي أنشأ جنات معروشات وغير معروشات والنخل والزرع مختلفا أكله والزيتون والرمان متشابها وغير متشابه كلوا من ثمره إذا أثمر وآتوا حقه يوم حصاده ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. Here Quran talks again about the produce of the earth. But compared to the previous verse, as I said, was a journey in science and beauty. Here we are addressing the same phenomena, but through practicality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created these gardens, whether cultivated or grow wild. This is ma'rushat wa ghayra ma'rushat. And the palms, and the different kinds of plantation, different in tastes, and the olives, and the pomegranate that looks similar, but it is different. Here we are not talking just about looking and watching and observing. كلوا من ثمره. This is for you to use. كلوا من ثمره إذا أثمر. وآتوا حقه يوم حصاده. When you collect, when you take the harvest, there is a due right there. That's the right of the poor. Here the beauty, the reality
is intertwined with the social responsibility. آتوا حقه يوم حصاده ولا تسرفوا. Don't be wasteful, because Allah don't like those who are wasteful. Verses 151 through 153, this is what we may call the 10 commandments in the Quran, Quranic style. The verses say, and we will count them. قل تعالوا, say, come to me. I am going to tell you something. قل تعالوا, let me convey unto you what Allah has forbidden to you. قل تعالوا أتل ما حرم ربكم عليكم. Number 1, ألا تشركوا به شيئا. Don't associate deity and ascribe divinity in any way to aught beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, don't offend against, but rather do good unto your parents. وبالوالدين إحسانا. And as you notice, immediately after Allah, who is the absolute source of life, comes the parents, who are the direct or immediate source of life. ولا تقتلوا أولادكم من إملاق. Talked about parents, we talk now about offsprings. Don't waste their lives or kill them because of poverty. نحن نرزقكم وإياهم. We sustain you and them. In other verse of the Quran, when it said ولا تقتلوا أولادكم خشية إملاق, for fear of poverty, Quran said نحن نرزقهم وإياكم. We sustain them and you. But here poverty is a reality. It is not in the future. So Allah says we will provide you. ولا تقتلوا أولادكم من إملاق. Based on this verse, we Muslims do not accept abortion, except of course with due rights in certain situations, etc. But the rule is abortion is a no-no because it is killing offsprings. ولا تقربوا الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن. This is number 4. Don't come close the shameful deeds, whether it is apparent and obvious or whether it is secret and concealed. A believer should police his own self, and this is why the Islamic system can prevail when it is formed of people of real believers. They know that they can fool the court, they can fool the police, but they are watched and they are observed. وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. Thou shalt not murder except for due reason and after a due process. ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ. Allah reminds you, recommends you, teaches you that He enjoined that on you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. Maybe you can use your mind and know that this is better for you. Then comes the number 6. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ أَشُدَّهُ. If you are in charge of orphans, and we talked before about the space for the orphans in the Quran. If you are in charge of the orphans, don't touch, don't abuse their property except to invest it. إلا بالتي هي أحسن. To increase it. حتى يبلغ أشده, until that orphan becomes strong and capable of taking care of his or her own affair. وأوفوا الكيل والميزان بالقسط. In your dealings, do with equity, whether it is measured or whether it is weighed. In other words, in all forms of transaction. You should do that with equity and with justice. A touch of the mercy of Allah here is clear. لا نكلف نفسا إلا وسعها. No matter how accurate you are, something may slip here and there, and the Quran is saying we know your capacity, but the challenge is to do up to your capacity. وَإِذَا قُلْتُمْ فَعْدِلُوا وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى. If you have to give a statement, and here whether this statement is in court, in an article, in a talk, in your life, when you make a statement, do it according to justice, even if it might not be in the favor of the closest one. وَإِذَا قُلْتُمْ فَعْدِلُوا وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى وَبِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ أَوْفُوا. All the covenants of Allah you should fulfill. Every covenant, every promise in our life, Allah is overlooking and observing it. So this should be fulfilled. ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. So you might remember, because you are amenable to overlook these things and to forget them. Last but not least, وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوا. Here is my straight path. And from Al-Fatiha, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا. We know the human being have a compass in him or in her that will tell them for real what is crooked and what is straight. In other words, after all the talks and after all the laws and after all the precautions, etc., follow the straight path. Be a straightforward person. وأن هذا صراطي مستقيما فاتبعوه ولا تتبعوا السبل فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ. If you try to find shortcuts and ways here and go around things, you will end up losing the straight path, losing the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ. Again, this is what Allah enjoined on you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Here taqwa is important, so you become aware and you heed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and through that awareness and heeding and observing of Allah, you can maintain these 10 commandments as they came in the Quran. Verse number 160 and 161 and 162, beginning this group of verses, beginning with the manifestation again of the generosity of Allah. مَنْ جَاءَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ فَلَهُ عَشْرُ أَمْثَالِهَا. Whoever shall come before God with a good deed will gain 10 times the like thereof. This is generous. وَمَنْ جَاءَ بِالسَّيِّئَةِ. When he comes with a bad deed, فَلَا يُجْزَى إِلَّا مِثْلَهُ. He will, however, will be rewarded for that, or punished for that, requited with no more than the like thereof. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us that margin from His generosity. I do good, it is 10 times. I do bad, it is 1. The counting is that way. وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. No one will be wrong done. Then comes here the verse that's talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but also talking to us. قُلْ إِنَّنِي هَدَانِي رَبِّي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ دِينًا قِيَمًا مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا وَمَا كَانَ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. You, Muhammad, identify yourself so that your ummah will identify themselves also, that Allah guided me to the straight path. We just remember, أَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ. Allah guided me to the straight path, the way and the religion of Ibrahim, who turned away from other paths of wrongdoing, and he never associated deities with God. Then to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and to us, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. You, Muhammad, say, behold, my prayer and all my acts of worship and my living and my dying are for God alone, the sustainer of all the worlds, in whose divinity none has a share. For thus have I been bidden, and I shall always be foremost among those who surrender themselves unto Him. This is the absolute dedication and the devotion, the highest degree of giving one's self to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My prayers, my acts of worship, my life itself, and my death are completely dedicated to Allah. And I wish that we can work on ourselves to come close to this ideal, to Allah without any partner, la sharika lah, not ego, not money, not ethnicity, not bosses and factors and nothing but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this is what we have been bidden for, and we should be in the foremost of the believers. And I find no better ending of these highlights from this surah but this verse. May Allah guide us to the right path. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.